Welcome back. My name is Jessica Signori and this is Le Flow. Warnings. This video may contain spoilers. How do you review 50 books all in once? It's insane, it's madness, and I'm about to do it. I'm going to try and be as coherent as possible so to not make this video last an hour. And I'm going to try and limit my spoilers to the minimum. There will be some major spoilers of the first 4 or 5 books, but that's because those are things that you kind of cannot avoid if you have been following these books, or if you just randomly have looked at any of the synopses. You will see that they are still together at book 50s, for example, the main couple, or that they're still married. It's something that cannot be avoided if we want to talk about the entire series. So I apologize for the spoilers. Don't keep on watching if you want a complete spoiler-free experience. This is not the video for you, but I will still try and be as fair as possible as to not go into detail of every single book and not give you any unnecessary for this review spoilers. Now, let's get into it. So the series I'm talking about today is the in-depth series from Robb, which is a pen name for the author Nora Roberts. She has written more than 200 books, and she still writes at least 2 books a year of the in-depth series, which, like, I'm gobsmacked. So proud of you, Nora. So proud of you. Keep giving us that content. If you have been with me for any amount of time, or have just had one conversation with me, you know that I love a good series. I love to binge read series, especially because I love to be able to fully enter into a world and fully have time to see this character grow and to grow with them and get to know them and fall in love with them if it has any element of romance, which it usually has if I'm reading it. Now, the series that I love are either very slow burn, or if there is some sort of insta-love, there is still a lot of character growth and way for the characters to grow together into better people. Which is especially why I love these series so much and why I stick with them. There is so much character growth, not only in the 2 main characters, but there is also character growth present in all the other characters that you will see, and then Nora/JD will bring into this world and into Eve's circle of friends. I feel like we should start with the setting of this book and the type of books we're actually talking about. So if you haven't heard or read anything about this book, they are what I like to call procedural romance, which means there is police element and a case, and usually it's a murder case, and the police or the FBI or a coroner or whatever within the institution of law enforcement will work towards solving this case. Usually there is the other element and the other part of the couple which is not in law enforcement, or it's connected but it's maybe a doctor or a coroner or has nothing to do with it whatsoever, and then will later on become probably a civilian consultant, and they will kind of work together again to resolve said case. What makes these books special is that they're not just that, but they're set in the future. Now, these books start way back. I think she started writing them in the 90s, and they're set in the 2050s, 60s, which doesn't sound that far away now, but it did at the time. Also, every book is set one after the other. There is only a couple of weeks between each books, and from like a couple of days to like a month if they go on holiday, but it's just very short period of time between one book and the other, so that makes it really easy to binge read them. But 50 books is 2.5 years in their life, more or less. So the characters. The main two characters are Eve and Rourke. Eve is a lieutenant of the NYPD. She is one of the best New York homicide lieutenant. She's very hands-on. She could and she should have a bigger office. She could have a closer or higher up parking spot, but she doesn't care. Her office is literally a broomstick, but help her be more close to her detectives, and that's what she loves. She could be a desk cop at this point because she could just literally focus on the bureaucratic part of her job, and she gets handed very important cases, which is how we come to the first murder of the first book. Eve has a very dark past. She doesn't remember anything of it, and then later on it will come back to her. She practically was raped as a child numerous times, beaten so much up until she ended up at around 8 to kill her dad, and then ran away. And she was found with a broken arm in an alleyway, not remembering anything. And her character growth in this book is also getting over this trauma, because she has wrenching nightmares that she has to go through, and she doesn't want to face anything, and especially with the help of Mira, which we'll explain later who she is, and Rourke, she will be able to come through this experience, and I'm not saying left it behind, because she doesn't leave it behind, but makes out of it something constructive and kind of work it through, not making it have that much control over her anymore, and kind of fighting those demons and raising herself to be the best person possible and reach her true potential. Rourke is a gazillionaire. He is especially known for buying property and flipping them. So he owns hotels, resorts, and so on, but he's also has his hands in a lot of pies. Electronics, computers, innovation, cars, blah 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 blah. Whatever you can think of, he's probably been putting money into it. He is charismatic, he's Irish, he doesn't have a first name, he's just Rourke. He's head of Rourke Enterprises. He's everywhere. Imagine Tony Stark but making it Irish, and make it pleasurable because everyone loves him. Women turn their heads around. He has magnetic blue eyes. He's gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous. He has the sex appeal of someone that moves around, knowing they can literally own the place, and probably do. And he has also an edge of danger on him, especially in the first few books. You can read Eve saying he has the eyes of someone that's capable of murder. And he's an ex-con. He used to be an Muslim thief, never been caught. He used to be a con artist and so on. He has had wild days. He comes from nothing, from Dublin. His dad used to beat him, and his mum I'm not going to do. There is way more characters, but I'm not going to go on, otherwise this video is gonna just become an hour long. Anyway, as plot goes, I'm just going to divide it in 3 sections. Before the 8th book, before and after Nadine's first Icov book. Why do I put the first 8 books in? Because I almost gave up. These books, at the beginning, are okay. Eve and Rourke get together in the first book. I'm married for the second one. It's not a, oh, I love you so much, let's get married. There is a sort of faded feeling to it. And especially Robb feels it a lot. There is a lot of running away because of fear, especially from Eve's part. But there is also a thing of, I can recognize something good when I see it, and I'm not going to let it run away. They will learn to be with each other and let the other person in, and that's the character growth. So up until halfway through, up until book 25, they do tend to argue a lot and be very headstrong, but you can see it and they can recognize it too, that most of the time it's just having someone there who will stick with you and you kind of use them as a punch bag, and it's not okay. But it's nothing personal, and they are actively working on it, and they manage to overcome all their difficulties in a sense. But what made me almost stop is not the romance, because they're getting married right away. It's more of a thing of like, I'm invested in you and I want to commit to this thing and make it work. What made me want to stop was the cases. Now, I grew up with CSI and Criminal Minds. I grew up with Patricia Cornwell. Literally, I was 6, 7 and I was making my mom's book and reading Patricia Cornwell's Case Carpeta series. So, I mean, I'm named after Jessica Fletcher. Come on. So, let's just say that the first few books, the murder behind it is a lot of the same tropes after one of the other, or the same way of developing and the same plot twists. So at a certain point I was like, I don't know if I want to read 50 books that are literally the same. But a lot of people were like, oh, stick with it, so beautiful, it's so good. And I honestly found that knowing that I had something to fall back on from one book to the other helped me not go in book hangover. And I would literally just read them underneath my usual TBR. So I will finish a book, go back to there, start a new book as soon as I found one, and then go back to the same book where I stopped. So at the beginning, the first few books were like that, and then one day I didn't know what else to read, and I had decided I would stop. And I was like, you know what? If I'm not gonna read them, let's read the synopses and see where it goes. So I read a couple of synopses, and then something caught my eyes because the plot was different. There was a different feeling, and I hadn't missed enough to make me feel like I had missed something. And I think I jumped another couple of books, and there is just one that I kind of regret, but I will probably go back, read it later on. Then every single book after book 8-ish, I think 8, started having a completely different plot twist, completely different tropes, and it's one different from the other, and I literally stopped even reading the synopsis. I would just start the next one. And for the past couple of months, I've literally just been reading the In-Depth series and loving it. And I've been given the 50th book. I read this one on Kindle because it was given to me on NetGalley, and I feel like it's a slightly different feeling from the others, which makes me think that the next book that is out in September is going to be very, very spectacular, especially because I read the synopsis and I need that book right now. But it feels very them, and it fled in my hands. I read it in less than a day as usual, and it's just, I was trying to savor it, but I just couldn't. I just needed to finish it because it just traps you into it so much. The only thing that I would say is, and this is a point of how to read this book and what's different about them. The way J.D. Robb writes, it's slightly different. she starts from the outside of the picture and then goes inside into the character and then switches a lot from one character to the other's point of view seamlessly. It takes a second to get used to it. It gave me a little bit of a whiplash, but it's so worth it once you get used to it, because it helps you to literally be able to feel every single facet of feelings and to really see every single point of view, even from characters that usually wouldn't have a voice. And you also get to experience the correct characters falling in love without having to go through entire chapters, maybe for a character that you don't really care about, and helping you to still focus on the case that is going on in that book. I also would suggest you to listen to the audiobooks instead of reading them. They're beautifully written, amazingly written, but, and this is me speaking, and I'm a person that very rarely likes audiobooks because I read so fast and I usually find them so slow. But Susan Erickson, which is a narrator for the In Death series, it's so good. Her voices never feels like a mocking of someone else. There seems like different voices. Her accents are on point, and I just absolutely adore her voice. She has such a neutral, calming tone, an even tone, and most of anything, in 50 audiobooks, she maintained the same exact voice and same exact accent and same exact tone for every characters from the first one to the last one, and that to me it's just mind-blowing. So yeah, that's it. I think this video is like an hour long. It's going to be so long, but it needed and it deserves it because it's such a good series, and I'm just sad that it's finished for now, because I can't just start a new one up until September. But I really hope that JD will bring even more characters, because slowly they're overcoming all their problems and traumas, and it's good. It's still really good and really entertaining, and it doesn't feel like it's finishing, but I need more angst. And I love the fact that they feel like a usual stereotypical couple the other way around. Like, he buys her clothes constantly and gifts, and she's like, but I have clothes, I don't need it. And she's just so practical. She's a very low EQ. She works on it so hard, and she has her own set of rules, and she's such a straight arrow. And he's just charming, charismatic, extroverted, takes care of her so much, and just so perfect together. And they love each other in a way that only real soulmates can, and it's literally the type of love one should aspire to. Anyway, this is all for me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's not too rumbly or too over the place. Honestly, there is so much more to talk about this book and so much more details to it. There's so many of them. I thought, and a lot of my friends thought, I was crazy when I embarked into this journey, but I honestly wish there were 100 books instead of 50, because it finished way too quickly and I miss them terribly. I'm in a massive reading slump because of it, which helped me write so much though, because my budget. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you liked it and you would like some more of this, please let me know. Let me know also the type of content that you would like to see next. I'm open to some feedback as to know what you guys like to watch, so that maybe I can create said content for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have read this series or if you would like to read it. And as usual, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and if you feel like it, even hit the bell button so you can keep up with this video each week. That's it from Le Fleur. See you next Friday. Bye! She cares for Lizzie. What the fuck is Lizzie? She cares for thief.